Hello, and welcome to this Cloudinary Cafe session. My name is Danny Valentine. I'm one of the developer support engineers here at Cloudinary, and I'll be taking you through swiping safely, how a dating site use Cloudinary's moderation tools to help keep romance classy. Before we kick off, so some training guidelines and best practices, things you can do to really make the most out of this training session. The first thing I suggest would be to give this your time and your focus. I'm sure it's plenty tempting to go ahead and open up your Slacks, open up your emails, and keep one eye on worky things while this is happening. But I urge you just try to ignore that, put on Do Not Disturb mode, put your phone on silent, and take the 15 or 20 minutes or so that this will be to just fully absorb that content. Take notes on what matters to you. I find it's very helpful to have a notepad and pen next to my desk whilst I'm taking a training session. You can write down things that are important to you and reference them later when you're trying to make changes for yourself. Try to use what you learn right away. Again, I personally learn best by doing rather than theoretical things. Yeah, definitely take the time to go through the session, absorb as much as you can, and then practice on your own account. I do advise maybe setting up a separate Cloudinary account just to make sure you're not interfering with production details, but there we go. And finally, have fun. These sessions aren't very long and they're designed to be quite low stress situations. There's no test at the end, so let's just kick back, relax, and I'll take you through the way that moderation should be done. Imagine, if you will, the early days of an online dating site. After meticulous planning, preparation, a soft launch, the beta eventually went live. People were really receptive to the site and things were going quite well. That is until it came to the photo uploads. Let's just say things were hairier than they should have been quite quickly. Moderation was a bit of a problem. Unfortunately, seeing things that they perhaps shouldn't have been, and the moderation team were absolutely swamped. The site grew more and the moderation team very quickly getting overwhelmed and the users weren't having a great time. So our friends did over at our dating site, they implemented Cloudinary's moderation suite. Coupled with manual and automatic moderation, they're able to effectively lessen the burden on their moderation team and make things a lot better for their customers. From last records, I believe we cut their manual workload by over 90%. Obviously, we stopped any bad actors in their tracks, and it just made the whole moderation process less soul-crushing. After that, confidence in the website was restored, and these people have been a happy customer of ours ever since. We'll take you through how you can do some smart moderation on your side. You can use some manual moderation, couple it with automated solutions, and do what works best for your use case without burning out the moderation team. Unlike our customer, you don't have to learn moderation the hard way. Let's get into a demo. Let's get stuck in. I'm going to walk you through going through a manual moderation flow, just in case you're not familiar with that. So we'll kick it off here in our Cloudinary account. What I'm going to go and do is go into our settings panel. I'm going to go to upload. I'm going to create ourselves a brand new upload preset for manual moderation. I've created one earlier, so we'll go ahead and edit that. We have our manual mod preset name. We're using the upload widget to perform our uploads today. So we need to make sure that we're allowing unsigned uploads in our preset. And then here in manage and analyze, what we're doing is we're enabling manual moderation. So I'm going to save that. Here we have a simple Cloudinary upload widget. All we're doing is we're taking our cloud name. So in my instance, it's Danny B training, and we're using an upload preset. So here it's manual mod. I'm going to go ahead and save that, run that. And now anything that we upload here will be using the manual mod upload preset that we just defined in our Cloudinary settings panel. I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to go to my files and upload this first image here. Takes a moment. There we go. The upload queue is processed. And we can see the image that we have in front of us. We press done. Head into our Cloudinary account and go to assets, media library, assets view. We can see our uploaded asset is living just there. Of course, this is showing any asset on your account that is either approved or pending moderation. If we wanted to moderate our assets, we go into the moderation view. We can see under the status column, anything currently pending. If we click into it, we can see anything that has been approved. We can see anything that's been rejected as well. We can go into our pending view. We can moderate our asset. And it's just a case of pressing the reject or approve button. It really is as simple as that. So what I'm going to show you quickly is if we go into our assets view and we try to view this asset in the browser and we open up in a new tab, even though we've not done any moderation on it at all, when we try to view that asset, it is blocked. That's because on my account, I've got a special backend flag that I've enabled. It is the block delivery of moderation pending assets flag. By default, any asset that's uploaded to your account is visible, even if it's pending moderation and hasn't been manually approved or rejected by a moderator. If you're dealing with high sensitivity things, you may want to contact support so we can enable the blocking of delivery for anything that's pending moderation. So here on the Danny vCloud, I have enabled that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is in our moderation section, back to our pending assets, and we're going to go ahead and approve the asset currently pending moderation. Wonderful. All we have to do is press this thumbs up button here. Now you can see it's in the approved view now. And if we go ahead and copy the URL and we try to open that up, we'll see it's rejected. That's just because it's the previously cached version. If I just increase the version number here by 1, then we can see our newly uploaded asset, all approved, all working correctly. Of course, manual moderation is slow and tedious and takes a lot of human time and effort. So what we'd probably rather do would be to use automation to do our moderation for us. So what I'm going to do is go into our settings once again, go into our upload presets and create a new upload preset. We're going to call this one recognition because that's the moderation method that we'll be using. Once again, we need to make sure the signing mode is unsigned. And then down here, we're going to go into add-ons. So click into that. If you've not seen our add-ons page before, there are many things you can do to upload assets. Scroll down to the moderation and malware detection section. And we're going to go for recognition AI moderation. We're going to press add to preset. And then we can go into our options. Now, the options gives you a whole bunch of granularity on what you can moderate the assets for. It's what recognition will be checking for when it's analyzing those images. So you can see by default, we have the explicit nudity section open. We can find things that are suggestive. We can look for guns and weaponry. We can look for drugs, alcohol, gambling, all sorts of potentially sensitive content that you may want to restrict users from uploading. In this case, we're just going to go into the suggestive section. When recognition runs, it will analyze the image for a bunch of metrics to determine the likelihood of the presence of that particular thing that we're moderating for. I explained that poorly. However, it will make more sense as we proceed. So, for instance, when you upload an image, it will analyze that image to see the likelihood of female swimwear or underwear. And it'll give a score out of 100. So what we can do here in the moderation options is we can say anything that has an 80% chance or more of being a lady in her underwear or bikini, we can reject that. We can say, okay, if we want to make sure revealing clothes aren't too much of an issue here, we want to absolutely make sure partial nudity doesn't come into play, we can lower the confidence on that. So anything that has a 21% chance of including partial nudity will be rejected. In this instance, though, we want to test our moderation on swimwear, so I'm going to press ignore on these. And we're just moderating for swimwear or underwear. I'll press OK on that. I'll press save. And that upload preset called recognition was created. One thing I did neglect to mention, though, is you'll need to go into your add-ons in the settings page to make sure it's enabled on your account first. Good thing to know is that everything we have within our add-on section does have a free tier, so you can evaluate the add-on before committing to a monthly subscription. So I'm just going to scroll down to recognition and subscribe to the free add-on, which I've already done so in the past. And whilst we're here, we're also going to scroll down to Web Purify. Web Purify. Excellent, but that's also enabled on my account. Perfect. So in this case, I didn't have to enable it, but you may need to do it on your own account. Every add-on will have a free plan, so you can get an idea for how it works and if it suits your use case. But as that is enabled on our account, what we're going to do is go ahead and make an upload which uses it. So we're going to go back to the JS fiddle I had previously. I'm going to update the upload preset from manual mod to recognition. I'm going to save that and press run. Now, any upload using this upload preset will go through Amazon's AI moderation. So I'm going to upload some files. First, let's upload something completely different from what we're searching for. No underwear, no swimwear. Just a picture of my cat. That'll take a moment. Lovely. Press done on that and head back to the media library. If we go into our assets view, media library moderation, we can see we've got our manual moderation, which was not currently what we're doing. We can click into this section and look at the recognition section. As you can see, we have a variety of different moderation methods, but we're looking particularly for recognition. This will take a moment. Once that loads, we can see there's nothing currently pending If we go into the status, we can see the rejections. Currently nothing. If we go into approved, we should see our cat. There she is. Wonderful. So this has been automatically moderated. We can see it's an image. We can see the file size, the dimensions. It's all looking good. And in the moderation section, we can see it's been approved. And we can say specifically what has approved it. So in this case, it's recognition. If we go into the assets view, see our cat, we can see in the moderation section, this was approved by recognition rather than a human moderator or a different add-on. We can view it in our browser, and that's working correctly. If we wanted to test that out for a rejection, we can go back into our upload preset, go into my files, and take this gentleman here. That has been uploaded. Back into Cloudinary, we go into our moderation section, go from manual into recognition, and we can see there's currently nothing pending. If we go into approve, we should just see our cat. We set the confidence scores for the swimwear so low. It should just be our cat here, which it is. And rejected, we can see, because this has failed the moderation, it's now in the rejected section. The moderation status is rejected by recognition. And if we go to our media library under the assets view, because this is one I uploaded previously, which was manually approved. So although I use the same image, this is actually a separate moderation instance. There we have it. We go into the assets view in the media library. Our recently uploaded asset does not appear. If we go into moderation, recognition, rejected, we can see that it lives there. But if we don't get a lot of detail on why it was deleted, one way we can do that is by using webhooks. I'm going to go ahead and go into settings, and in our upload preset for recognition, I'm going to edit it. And in advanced, we have our notification URL. Now, if you're not familiar with this, this is a way of sending a JSON report of the upload to a specific endpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up webhook.site, which is a free tool for testing out webhooks. I'm going to copy my unique webhook URL, and I'm going to paste it into here. So now whenever this upload preset is used, the JSON payload from the results of the upload will be sent here. I'll demonstrate what that means in a moment. Just close that off and press save. Lovely. So I'm going to go back into our upload widget. I'm going to upload a new file. And just for clarity's sake, we'll upload this image here. Once again, we're using the recognition preset, which now has the webhook notification URL. That upload has been completed. So we press done. And if we head over to our webhook, we can see a whole bunch of information. So if we go into our webhook, we can see a lot of information. We can see that upload has taken place, the time, the public ID of the asset, the URL where it would be available if it's approved. And we can see in this case, this is approved. It actually should have been rejected. I'll have to confirm my settings here. We go to recognition, rejected. So I'm not expecting to see the asset here, but we're just confirming everything. So this is the previous rejected asset. In the approved, we have this one, which is surprising to me because we set the upload preset to exclude swimwear. So go into our advanced add-ons, go into our options and confirm everything is okay. We're going to take these confidence scores all the way down. Bare chest is male, partial nudity, anything revealing. If there's even a whiff of these, it should reject the asset. So I press apply. I shall save that once again. What we're going to do is go into our assets, moderation, delete that and start over again. So back up to recognition, approved. We should delete this asset here. These things do tend to go wrong when you're live and you've got people watching. Here we have the report from the upload. So just delete these off. This is irrelevant now. Perfect. Asset deleted. Once again, we'll go into our upload preset that we've configured and use the recognition. Go ahead and upload files. And we'll pick our guy in the swim shorts. That'll take a moment to process. We press done. And then when we head into our webhook notifications, we can see, yeah, with a 99% confidence, we've got non-explicit nudity. We have non-explicit nudity and exposed male nipples. So this has been rejected by recognition because it has failed the checks that we've specified above. If we go into our moderation, recognition, rejected, we can see the previously rejected asset as well as the one we've just uploaded here. Now, although the information from here showing the confidence scores, etc., is not reported within Cloudinary, you can use a webhook in order to capture this. We could also use a webhook for a variety of other things. For instance, you might want to use that webhook as you're uploading to set a structured metadata of the user ID. And then when the webhook comes back saying rejected, you could potentially ban or warn a user based off of the content of their upload. Our final moderation method is to use Web Purify. I'm going to go ahead and create a new upload preset which uses that one. So I'm going to say Web Purify. Sign mode once again is going to be unsigned. We're going to we'll create a new webhook for this one. Oops. This is all different. So create a new webhook, which I'll copy here. And we're going to advanced, paste in our notification URL. And under add-ons, we're going to find Web Purify. And I'm going to press add to preset. One thing you may have noticed is the AI moderation from recognition uses machine learning to determine what may or may not be explicit content. Web Purify uses humans. It sends it to a human moderation team to validate the content of that asset. You may notice that on this one, you don't have options. On recognition, you can configure specifically what's being looked for. However, with Web Purify, it's just sent to a human. They go, is this okay? Yes or no. Depending on your use case, this may or may not be ideal, but I'll run through it and show you how it works. So once again, we're back into upload widget and we'll change this from using recognition to using Web Purify. So we'll use Web Purify and we'll save that. We'll run that and we can upload a file once again. So I'm going to upload this here. Press done. Now, because this is human moderation, this does take a little bit of time. Unfortunately, these things aren't always instant, although I must say in my personal experience, Web Purify generally takes at most 5 minutes to validate. Let's see what we have here. That's the previous one. So we can see here, this is not the notification of upload, but rather the visual search indexing I have on my account. We can see the upload. We can see the upload has taken place here. Our URL's here. It's currently pending Web Purify modification. And that was the visual search I mentioned a moment ago. We head back into our media library, go into our assets view, moderation, and we can see that's currently waiting. As I say, this uses a team of human experts, which can scale a little bit more nicely than putting someone on your payroll and making sure they've got a benefits package and making sure they're available during the day. Web Purify takes all that hassle out for you, and they'll moderate that asset on your behalf. It does take a little bit of time, unfortunately. Obviously, we want to make sure nothing slips through the crack. One good thing that you can do using upload presets is apply a little bit of logic. You might say, okay, for all users who are uploading between the hours of X and Y, make sure they're manual moderation. Or for all users who have uploaded a certain amount of content that's been manually approved, maybe give them a bit more trust on uploads. So we could say, okay, if somebody has a confidence score on their account of 20, maybe they'll go through Web Purify instead of manual moderation. Or if somebody is particularly untrusted, make sure they always go through manual. You could use a weighted rating on a customer's account and base the moderation off of that. Let's have a look at our Web Purify. Yep, that has come back. Oh no, that's the previous one, isn't it? We're still waiting on Web Purify. Then I'll head into the Cloudinary documentation for Web Purify and give you an example of what that upload response might look like. To go into Web Purify image moderation add-on. I'll just increase the size of that so we can all see. There should be an example of the response you might get. We can see it's currently pending Web Purify. When it comes back, you should see something like this. As you saw with recognition, the response you get is quite verbose. It says specifically why things have been rejected. We can see the confidence scores of each different element. Unfortunately, with Web Purify, you don't quite get the same level of granularity, but you do have the assurance that it's been reviewed by a human, which for some people may carry even more weight. So the sort of things you might see in your upload response, you'll see if it's been approved or rejected. You can see what has approved or rejected it, when it came through, and the public ID of the asset in question. If we go into our media library once again, Web Purify have moderate our asset. And in this case, they have rejected it, potentially because there's just sort of so much flesh on display here. But again, if we go into moderation, we can see this has been web purified. So if, for instance, we decided under web purify rejected, if we do a spot check every day, every 6 hours or something, and we decide this is fairly innocuous, this is okay for the contents on our website, all we have to do is hover over the approve button, click that, and it'll go into the approved queue. There we go. Back into our assets view. You can see our image. We can see that it was initially refused by web purify, but then a human moderator came in and said, actually, this is A-OK. So you have something of an audit trail when moderating your assets. That is about it for me. I think that kind of covers everything that we wanted to go through today. That is absolutely it from me. For next steps, that is it for web purify, recognition, and manual moderation. If you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out via support.cloudinary.com. I'll be happy to speak to you over a support ticket and help with implementation, etc. Thank you so much for being here. I've been Danny, and we'll see you in the next one.